intersect with one another, you know. But yeah, we're close. We talk all the time and text all the time. My sister lived abroad for like 2 years, and I want to say we emailed like every single day, like long, multiple paragraph emails. So, yeah. And my brother, I mean, I have like 6 years between me and my brother. And also, he's like the only boy in our family. So, all his texts to me are like 1 or 2 word answers, but that's just how he is. But anyway, I pulled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books to talk to you guys about today. I hope I don't sound like too repetitive when I'm talking about them, because they are all about siblings. But yeah, let's just jump right into the first one, which is The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin. So this book is about 4 siblings, the Gold siblings. It starts off in 1969 in New York City, and the siblings, Simon, Clara, Daniel, and Varia. And so the 4 of them one day encounter a fortune teller who predicts the dates of each of their deaths. So when they're children, the 4 siblings encounter this fortune teller kind of by chance. And yeah, she tells them the day that each of them are going to die. And so this like fateful encounter affects the rest of their lives, and each one is very differently affected by this, and it influences the decisions that they make, and it influences like the relationship amongst the siblings. So Simon and Clara are like the younger siblings, and they very much kind of embody like that young sibling dynamic. They're more carefree, just kind of freer, and like they just take more risks and stuff. And our older siblings, Daniel and Varia, they are very much more practical and grounded and kind of haunted by the responsibilities and the choices that they're forced to make. So each of the siblings deal with this prophecy in like super vastly different ways, and yeah, it just shapes their fate cross-country road trip in search of their mother, who has been gone for like many years. So we have Emmett, who is 18 years old, and his little brother Billy, who is only 8. So Emmett has recently returned home after serving time in like a juvenile detention facility, and he feels like a very, very deep sense of responsibility for Billy. It's kind of like a surrogate father figure, because their own father has passed away recently, and they're kind of left to figure out and navigate their own lives. And Emmett very much wants to provide like a stable future for Billy. Billy, on the other hand, who's again only 8 years old, he is just super adventurous, a very precocious child. He's just like so full of optimism and curiosity about everything, and just wants to go on like big adventures all the time. He like idolizes his older brother. His older brother is like everything to him. And so yeah, it is this road trip cross-country story about these two brothers and all the people they encounter along the way. The relationship between the two is, ultimately like the driving force of the plot, but it also explores like self-identity, finding one's own place in the world. And the brothers are at odds sometimes, because Billy is just young and kind of naive and so hopeful, and Emmett is kind of more jaded and burdened by responsibility. So yeah, there's a very good found family aspect of the book as well, with the people they meet on their journey. And yeah, it's just so good, so well written. You just get sucked into the story. to bury their father. And it's like woven with a lot of Chinese symbolism and mythology. And they have to navigate like the racism of being Chinese American during this time in America. And so Lucy, who is the older sibling, is the more, I mean, it's a pattern, right? The older sibling is usually the more responsible, introspective, practical one. So same here with Lucy. She is very much affected by how they're treated as Chinese Americans, like as Chinese immigrants. She's like very torn between like wanting to respect her family's traditions and past, but then also she has this desire to assimilate into American society, just, you know, because of all the prejudice that they face. And then we have Sam, the younger sibling, who just like completely rejects society, and she doesn't want to like conform to any kind of expectation, whether that be cultural or like gender. So there are two sisters, but Sam very much like rejects the traditional like gender roles and wants to live like as a boy. They prefer, you know, to be treated as a boy. And so that kind of, you know, creates more of a worry on Lucy, the older sibling. And so, yeah, the story just kind of, they're looking to bury their dad, but it's kind of like a larger metaphor for finding their place in the world, you know, especially a world that has never accepted them for who they are. And the siblings are bound by this trauma, and they really only have each other. So, yeah, this was a really good one. I think these are all like 5-star books for me. So. Okay, next book we have Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. So, this book is about two Korean American sisters living in New York, and they are estranged. Like, when the book starts, they have not spoken to each other in several years. And okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if the blurb gave away why they start talking again, but yes, one of the sisters is diagnosed with cancer, and it kind of forces them to unite again, to reunite. So, the protagonist of the book, her name is Jane, and so the sisters are Jane and June. Jane, she is a college student, living in New York, like I said. She's like struggling in pretty much every aspect of her life, like financially, romantically, just self-esteem wise, her emotions are always all over the place. She very much feels like inferior to June, who's like the perfect sister in honestly kind of like unlikable, but in a way that you still like root for them. And yeah, on top of all that, there is like a added cultural aspect of them like navigating their identity as Korean Americans, and kind of like a conflict between their responsibility to their family and their own like personal desires. So yeah, this is a good one. Okay, sorry guys. I had to text my sister back, so I paused it for a little bit, and I feel like it got more cloudy, so hopefully the lighting hasn't changed too much. But yeah, let's continue on. I've got 2 more books. The next book I have is the only fantasy. This is The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Arrow. So, in this book as well, like Yoke, the sisters are estranged. It is about sisters. 3 sisters in 1893, and they are in, is it like a made up, yeah, kind of like Salem in the 1800s, late 1800s, and yeah, at the beginning, they have kind of all gone their separate ways, each dealing with kind of like the trauma of their childhoods. So they had like an abusive father, and as soon as they were able, the 2 older sisters kind of like fled the home, but left their younger sister. And so Juniper, she's the youngest, kind of like the most outgoing one. She feels like she was abandoned by her sisters, and that is like a major point of conflict like early on in the book. And we have Agnes, who is pregnant in the beginning, and she's kind of just focused on her future as a mother. Like that is like her main concern. And then Bella is like the oldest, very quiet sister, is kind of like absorbed in her academic life. So she's like a bookworm, studies all the time, very, very quiet. And so, yeah, they are initially at the start kind of disconnected from one another. And in this world, magic and witches have been what do you call it? Like exiled, or sorry, I'm like losing my train of thought. Yeah, they're trying to revive like witchcraft, and hand in hand with that is like a suffragette movement for women's rights. And so the book explores them coming back together slowly. A lot of it due to this like movement for witches and women. And so they're drawn together both like physically and emotionally as they work toward this common goal. And a lot of like old knowledge of like the history of witches plays like a crucial role in the rebellion. I feel like I've said rebellion like 10 times, but yeah, she's kind of like the strategist and the voice of reason in the group. But yeah, I love how each sister is just fully fleshed out as their own character with their own, motivations and worries and desires. And yeah, it's just such a good, compelling story. Okay, and then the last book, which possibly might be my favorite, it is young adult though, which, yeah, I know, shocking. I'm not a huge fan of contemporary young adult fiction, but I will make an exception for this one because I love this book with my whole heart. And this is I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I saw that she has a new book coming out this year, and it's been 10 years since this book was published. Oh my god, I think it's raining. It is, oh my gosh, that is super exciting. It hasn't rained in like 4 months here. Wow. Okay, I'll look at that later. Anyway, she had a new book. I was so excited, and I saw that it was available to request on NetGalley, so I was like, you know what, let me try. And I got approved, and I read it, and I loved it, but I'll talk about that one more in my August wrap-up. This book, okay, it is about two siblings, twins to be exact, Noah and Jude. And the book alternates perspectives. So Noah, it's from Noah's perspective when the twins are 13 years old. And then in the alternate perspective is told from Jude's point of view when they're 16. And so when they're 13, they're like inseparable, like just the closest of friends and siblings, twins to the core. And then when they're 16, they're estranged and they like no longer talk to one another. And so we figure out as the book goes on like what happened to cause this rift between the twins. And yeah, this book is just the bond between them. There's like such intense love, and at the same time like an intense rivalry. There's like grief as their mom that want to spoil anything. Let me see first. Okay, well it doesn't say it in the blurb, so I'm not gonna say anything more. But they are very different. Noah is like this very quiet, sweet, artistic boy, and he feels emotions like very intensely, and he is struggling Noah's eyes, Jude is like so headstrong and outgoing and confident, but she does have like, a lot of things that she keeps inside. And yeah, she starts to feel like overshadowed by Noah, who's just this really, really talented artist. And so there's a lot of like family secrets and miscommunication and like withdrawing from one another. And it's just so heartfelt and poignant and touching. They have like a shared